Hello again, everyone. I'm Gary Gotzo. Welcome to the Race First coverage of Round 5 of the inaugural season of the ISRA Truck Series as we come to you tonight from Gateway, just about 4 hours west of Indianapolis, directly in I-70. Before you get to St. Louis, you got to pass this place. Joining me in the booth for tonight, he's been with me all season long here for the ISRA Truck Series. He is a former iRacing IndyFix Series champion. It's Mark Murphy. Mark, this is a place that a lot of people love to hate, but personally, and I'm one of those, but this track has been very kind to me for some reason. But we're going to be watching it in a different format than what we're used to. Normally we see the IndyCar guys going through here. We're going to see trucks, but to some degree, there'll be some familiarity with what's going on because these guys are still going to be shifting gears.
Yeah, so it's a track that I personally love. This is the home of my first big televised iRacing win. It's nighttime, so it's nice and cool here for the guys. They are shifting going through 1 and 2. That's something that you will see.
Yep.
You can make it through there.
You don't have to. You don't have to shift though.
Well, and shifting can bring its own complications. These trucks are very sensitive to the shifting, and so if you do it in the wrong place, you can wheel hop, you can break the rear end loose just on the downshift. Yep. And so that's something that we can watch out for. I'm telling you what though, I'm just glad that we're at virtual Gateway tonight, and I don't actually have to go to East St. Louis. I've been here a couple of times. This is a wonderful track, the wonderful facility. And they do a tremendous job. Outside the walls, though, not so much. So glad to be at virtual Gateway tonight for sure.
Well, we got a minute 22 left to play. David Rodriguez on the pole, Flanagan P2, Hacker P3 currently. That's provisionally. Let's take a look at the points really quick while qualifying runs out. And hopefully we'll get back to get some speeds here. Certainly we will when the starting lineups here get posted. But here are the points for the ISRA Truck Series. Lionel Callisto is your leader. Matt Wagner is P2. Sam Crow P3. Michael Goodman P4. Dean Darth Maul is P5. Lewis Hayes is P6. Christopher Reagan is 7th. Rigney is 8th. Richie Hearn is 9th, and Hugo Gallas is 10th. From 1st to 10th, we're still separated by about roughly 35 points or so. So no one is out of this yet, even though we have a couple of more rounds to go. The schedule has changed going forward. They decided to get rid of some cookie cutter tracks for the last 3 rounds. So we're going to be going to a short track next with Iowa, and then they will be doing Dover. And then they will wrap up at California instead of Homestead. So they changed the schedule up a little bit to get a little bit more variety in the style of courses. But we are getting ready to go racing here momentarily.
We are indeed. And I'll tell you what, big story already. Lionel Callisto did not set a time in qualifying after being fastest in practice.
Ooh.
Starting the back. Points leader.
Well, let's take a look at tonight's starting lineup here from Gateway. Hold on just 1 second.
You're fine, Gary.
Get these overlays ready here. But, yeah, on the pole, if it comes up here, is David Rodriguez with a 33 flat. Joe Flanagan, 10th behind him. So David, by far the fastest truck in qualifying by a 10th. Joe Flanagan, who last week's pole center, backs it up with another front row spot. Maybe we have another front row Joe here. 33-1. Matty Wagner, 33-1 as well. Ron Hacker, another 33-1. So we got a lot of 33-1s. This is pretty typical of kind of the ex-Lionheart crew. Very, very, very tight times. Michael Goodman, P5. Christopher Reagan, P6. Moving on, Mark Cohn on the podium last week is 7th. Rigney is 8th. Sam Crow, one of our points leaders, is 9th. Say Hey Lewis Hayes is 10th. Hugo Gallas in that 10th spot in the points is 11th on the grid. Richie Hearn is 12th. John Van Voorellis, but we will call him JV, That's, I guess, an easier way his friends call his name, and I guess it is easier to say just JB, but he's 13th. Cristobal Valenzuela, 14th. Lionel Callisto, your points leader, is 15th with the no time, and Drew White making an appearance for the first time since, I think, the opener, maybe. But we welcome him back, is 16th. So 16 trucks tonight, 150 laps, is a 1.25 mile oval. You get 3 sets of tires and 1 fast repair.
Tell you what, that's an impressive lap from David Rodriguez. That is a very impressive knot of cars from 2nd to 7th, or trucks as it were. Those 6 trucks were within 25 thousandths of a second of each other. Is how close those 6 were. We got Ron Hacker is going to get an EOL here apparently, so we'll see the outside row move up 1 as they roll away.
Yeah, like I said in the when I was reading off the lineup, it's pretty indicative of kind of the Lionheart crew. Just everyone is so close together. A tenth separates, anywhere from the first 10, the first 15 drivers typically, sometimes even more. It's that close. So again, same type of talent on hand tonight. And looking forward to 150 laps here at Gateway. We will go into the evening, and we will see how they're going to play this. A lot of guys have tried the IndyCar strategies in these trucks. Some have worked, some haven't. We'll see how that works tonight. The entrance of pit row is on the backstretch. We haven't seen that yet this year, so that'll be new. Truck is off, getting ready to go green. Here we go, Murph.
Michael Goodman's going to lead him, or David Rodriguez is going to lead him off. Joe Flanagan second. Rodriguez is going to get that big jump going down the front stretch. Wow. They're going to haul it off into turn 1, and he is going to shift it. Something you don't see in stock cars or trucks, as it were. Riding on board with David Rodriguez. Listen for the shift going down into turn 1.
Yeah, that radius of turn 1, to keep the revs up, you can shift it down. Now, it does bring up the issue of getting loose off the corner of 2. We've seen that a lot with these trucks. And here is Rodriguez doing the shift down.
Now, there's 2 problems with a shift. And some guys will take the opposite tack and not shift. So shifting is faster, but it comes at a price. The most obvious 2 are you're going to be really free on the exit of the corner, and you run into the opportunity to wheel hop the car as it goes through the corner. Marco Andretti learned the effects of wheel hopping this week at Texas in one of these trucks. Coda.
Rigney side by side with Cone. Got really close there on corner entry to 1.
Yeah, they're having a nice time back there. They're having a nice time back there in that wad of cars. But the other thing that's going to do is going to wear your tires out quicker. We're going to wear your rear tires out, and so guys are going to be faced with a choice. Do I go a little bit slower and save my stuff? Do I go a little bit faster and try to leap out to the lead? Obviously, David Rodriguez has decided he's going to try to lap the field here. But some of these guys are not shifting for that reason. They're going to try to play the long game, keep the rear tires under him. Rigney is going to get by Matty Wagner in the 12, and so he'll take 5th position off of Matt Wagner and set sail for Mark Cohn up in 4th.
Yeah, actually I have 2 IndyCar League wins here, and one of my better showings in a truck series that I was in, a truck league. One of my better showings was at this track as well, and I don't accept. This is not my type of track. I do not enjoy racing here, but for whatever reason, the track agrees with my style. And my approach in the truck race when I was here, I did a lot of testing, and I just always found out that for whatever reason, I would get loose off of 2 and 4, specifically 2 when you shift. And I thought it would just be safer not to shift, and I went that entire race without shifting. And we got a battle for second now, or a battle for third, side by side with Reagan and Cone. And I opted not to shift that race, and that actually did pay off. I had fresher tires over a longer run by not doing that. Also, really what allowed me to do is, I believe it allowed me to save gas because I went very, very long on one particular stint and the caution fell. And that's really what gave me the strategy, is that I was still out when the caution fell. But again, I don't know what's up with this track, but it seems to agree with my style for some reason.
You're going to, well, and you mentioned, strategy and IndyCar strategies and stuff. You're not really going to see these guys short pit, or you shouldn't. Because you're going to lose at least one lap, if not two, under green. So, unless it's close on the cycle, you're not going to see guys do this whole deal where they pit 20 laps off the cycle or something, unless they have to. But that's exactly right. I mean, you come here in an open wheel car, you come here in an IR18, and in the IndyCar, we're going down to fourth gear, sometimes third gear in turns 1 and 2.
Something happened with John Van Voorellis. JV pulled out and is really off the pace now. I think maybe he might have smacked the wall, or maybe just interested in running his own race right now. But we're 8 of 150.
I didn't see him hit anything off of 4 over there. I think he's just, maybe going to ride around to back a little bit, hang out, see what develops.
Look at the different lines everyone's kind of got going through 1 and 2. Some on the bottom, some in that second lane. I like the options of different lanes here at both ends of the racetrack.
Well, and that's very true. 3 and 4 are very wide. That part of the course has the same banking from the bottom to the top, but it's very flat. Turn 1 and 2 has some more banking to it. It is progressively banked, and I'll call our audience's attention, if you will, down to turn 1 and 2. If you look at 1 and 2, you see a lighter strip of pavement there, and then you see a big tar kind of, I don't know, strip. It's about a tire length wide.
About a sealant? Is it the kind of a sealant they put in there to kind of close the gaps? Yeah.
Yeah, there's a darker patch, and there's a difference in banking there of 2 or 3 degrees. Not only can that upset you, it really makes the second lane faster in some respects, and then the top has a little bit more banking even still, so you get up right next to the wall, you got another degree or 2 to help you out also. But then drawback to running the top is this place is egg-shaped. The exit of turn 2 is the narrow end of the egg, so that's where the wall wants to jump out and eat you. And it's got a lot of wheel in it right there. It's a very interesting corner. Not only that, but there's a break in the wall over there, and if you are of mind to scare somebody during a practice session, you kind of hide your car in there.
I've seen someone chose to take it 3 wide at that portion of the racetrack one time, kind of force his way in there. So that is not out of bounds. Riding along with your leader, David Rodriguez. On the bottom, there's a set of rumble strips there. They can hit those, and they help loosen the car up a little bit, or truck up. There you hear him shifting on the main straight.
Yep.
Very long straights here. Coming into turn 1, going to be on the brakes a little bit, downshift. There's that sealant that we talked about that separates the bottom lane from the middle lane. Coming off the corner, shifting. There's the opening.
Yes. Now, something you could point out, that I will point out, is that there are rumble strips at both ends, but the rumble strips are not equal. So the rumble strips in 3 and 4 are just regular painted curbing. Rumble strips in 1 and 2 have the rumbles, the teeth in them, so to speak. 1 and 2, you really don't want to hit so much. You really won't be down there anyway if you're running the correct line. You don't want to hit those, because you'll go. Not only do you go from some banking to flat, they'll turn you loose, but those have the teeth. Turns 3 and 4, you can use the curbing in a truck. and I suspect that we'll see that happen as the run goes on. You'll see guys try to hit that to de-wedge the truck, help it turn a little bit.
Watching a battle for 7th, or actually 6th now. Three cars in this, three trucks in this battle.
Boy,
Easy for me.
go.
3 wide going in the 1. Matty Wagner's going to force the issue. He's going to bring himself through. Goodman's going to get 6th. Wagner 7th. Rigney back to 8th. Rigney now looking at an attack from Sam Crow. Sam Crow's going to run down the backstretch. Going to stay in line, pop out possibly before they go into 3 and 4. Nope, he's going to stay right in line.
I think Mike Rigney just said discretion is the better
part of valor. Yeah,
lifted out of that mess, because that was a situation brewing. It's hard enough to get 2 trucks through turns 1 and 2 here, let alone 3. And if you got 3 in there, you're not getting 3 off of it. That's for sure. And so I think Mike Rigney just decided. I think I'll just let this go. And let Matt Wagner go on down the road. By the way, those two had been battling earlier. We underlined that earlier. They were battling for 5th earlier. So
yeah.
They've both dropped a couple of spots, and they're still fighting. This now it's for 7th and 8th. Matt Wagner is also all over the back end of Mike Goodman. I mean, he is all over the rear of the 28 machine.
Yeah, apparently Matt did not like, and he says in chat, this is his 3rd favorite oval. I don't know how he manages to type that as well as drive these things, unless he has to a voice-to-text thing going on. But anyways, he is down 4 spots, but as these tires get more worn, it apparently is agreeing to his style as he is starting now to move back up the field. The biggest gainer, let's give the shout, is to Richie Hearn here in 5th. He is up 7 spots very quietly. We have not seen any of it. We've been talking, and all of a sudden, voila, here is Richie Hearn all of a sudden up in 5th.
Yeah, and that's not surprising, given his knowledge and so forth. Kind of back to what you were saying earlier about the typing and whatever. You know who else does that we're really familiar with, and I have no idea how?
Go ahead.
It's Robert Malechka.
Okay.
That man types faster than he's driving sometimes, and it drives me nuts. How in the world do you do that? But no, it's almost like they've got I think some of it is they might have like a Xbox controller that's got a keyboard on it.
Okay.
It's like like an old BlackBerry type keyboard, an old BlackBerry keyboard type deal. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
Richie Hearn, by the way, does have real world starts here. So
yes.
He's got experience. He finished 9th in the Champ Car race here in '97. 28th in '98 and 13th in '99 in a Lola, first in a Lola, second in a Swift, and 3rd race was in a Reynard. All of those for John Della Penna. But he's been here before, so he's run this in a Champ Car.
Yeah, so 96 Cart ran the US 500 opposite the Indy 500, and 97. This is where they chose to run opposite the 500 a day before, I believe, as kind of a conciliatory, hoping to get, not hoping to get it, but allowing those that wanted to race to 500 the opportunity to. No one really took that opportunity until 2000 when Ganassi finally did it, but that was kind of the beginning of I guess Cart kind of giving in a little bit and not wanting to run directly opposite the 500, but they would run a race on the same weekend of the 500, and they chose
right.
Gateway.
It's funny you mentioned that, because while there were no Champ Car teams that went to Indianapolis, they did finally, about 15 years too late, well, 10 years too late maybe, offer Buddy Lazier top-level ride for that St. Louis weekend. He was offered, if I remember correctly, a 3rd Newman Haas car that one race as a teammate to Michael Andretti, and if I remember right, turned it down. Which you can understand why Buddy would have done that, but at the same time, it would have. It's always going to be one of those huge what ifs for me, because he came into the prime of his career, obviously during the split. But what could Buddy Lazier have done in a Newman Haas car? an oval. That would have been something to see for sure. Matty Wagner has gotten around.
Yes.
Has gotten around Michael Goodman and is now setting sail after Richie Hearn. Those two have carved their way back up through the field. Hearn is and they're about equidistant. Hearn's got 1.3 up to Joe Flanagan. He's got 1.4 back to Matt Wagner. But you're starting to see the guys that are playing the long game a little bit.
We got Goodman to the inside of Crow in the 1. Starting to get crowded down there. Lionel Callisto up 6 spots. He's the second biggest gainer. Of course, he started shotgun on the field. Didn't set a time. He is your points leader at the moment.
Mentioned lines, Gary. Richie Hearn is the only one on the course right now that is going all the way down to the curbing in both sections of the track. And he is shifting a lot later.
Let's watch.
Than we're on board with David Rodriguez. Listen how late he leaves the downshift. Rodriguez was getting on the brakes and he was almost kind of using the engine brake to slow the thing. Richie Hearn's waiting until almost the apex of the corner to downshift.
Yeah, he is. There it is. Yeah.
He's also shifting in 3 and 4.
There he hit the rumble strips that time. You heard him.
Oh, well, you're starting to wear your right front out now. So
yep.
That's down in a rumble strip, de-wedge the truck.
Yep.
Turn a little bit.
Track cams brought by Track Cams for Gourmet. Hit them up at trackcam22.com and get your custom track cams for your version of iRacing today. Up front is David Rodriguez, who has pretty much led the entire time. Mark Cohn is up 5 spots to P2. Christopher Reagan, he is up 3 spots to 3rd. Flanagan is in the 4th spot. He started on the front row. He's down 2 spots, but he is right there in the top 5. And Richie Hearn is the last car in the top 5, last truck in the top 5. Matty Wagner, P6. Lionel Callisto, P7. Sam Crow, P8. Michael Goodman, P9. And Mike Rigney is back in 10th. The remainder of the field is Valenzuela, Hacker, Gallas, Sehe, Lewis Hayes, and JV, John Van Voorellis, he is back at 15th. And I believe those are the 2 of the stock car guys, and they might have fallen back for a reason. They might be trying to save their stuff. We'll see.
Well, that's always a possibility. There's chess and there's checkers and there's 3D and 4D chess, as you alluded to Saturday at Indianapolis. Esper and I playing 4D chess, but we're gonna have a battle here. We're gonna have a battle brewing. Callisto is catching Wagner. He's a couple of tenths a lap quicker. Wagner is catching Hearn. He's a 10th quicker. Hearn is catching Flanagan. He's about a 10th quicker. Flanagan is, guess what? Catching.
Yep.
He is catching Christopher Reagan about a 10th lap, and so kind of the only one who's not being caught or catching somebody right now is David Rodriguez. He is gone.
Yep, leader by 2.1 seconds. That's probably one of the biggest leads we've seen a driver have all season here in the ISRA Truck Series. This is round 6. We're in the second half of the season, but the next 3 rounds were on newly scheduled tracks. Going to mention that one more time. After this is Iowa, then we go to Dover, and then we're going to finish up at Fontana. Before that was replacing, let's see, Charlotte, I believe, was one of them. The other one was Las Vegas, and I believe the last one would have been Homestead. So some people that like Homestead are a little upset about that, but they changed them up for a little bit more variety. So for the next 2 weeks after this, we will kind of go short track racing. Although, do you really consider Dover short track racing? I don't know.
I consider Dover painful. That place is just. I want to talk about something that just eats cars. That's Dover, man. Dover is. Oh my goodness, that thing just eats. Thing just eats your stuff up. It's hard on tires. It's bumpy. It's hard on it's hard on drivers. Think about you don't think about fatigue a lot. I think about fatigue a lot, but if you got a direct drive and you're going to Dover and alive, Gary, you're going to be hurting.
So
I
far,
don't know, there's a lot of good I can say about Dover.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this: we're about halfway through a fuel run now.
Yeah.
I think you're probably going to be able to do 55 to 60 laps, maybe. So we're kind of halfway. Still trying to figure out what John Van Bareilles is doing. He is
Sam Crow, Michael Goodman side by side going in the one. Looks like Goodman's going to get the position up high, or at least keep the position up high. Now getting into this, we got a battle between Matty Wagner and Hearn. Hearn has Goodman might have smacked the wall coming off a 2. That just kind of put everybody in a funnel behind him. But Matty Wagner now up to 5th around Richie Hearn. So again, these trucks, as they go later in the run, seem to be agreeing with Matt Wagner's driving style.
Goodman.
Here comes Lionel Callisto.
Goodman did hit it, and he hit it pretty doggone hard. Wagner's got by Hearn. Callisto is in that group too. You got a knot of trucks about 2 seconds behind them. And then, I was looking at John Van Bareilles just to kind of try to figure out what his plan might be. So, he's quicker than Gallows and Hacker for sure. Running about the same. He's almost like he's running to a pace.
Is he maybe trying to do this on one stop?
I don't know.
Can you do this on one stop?
Talking, you're saving 15 laps per run minimum. I don't know. I'm gonna go right on board with him. See, Gary, I don't know. Well, let's go on board and see. He drove pretty deep into turn 1. It's not shifting. So something, if you stay on, if you go on board, something that
we're on now.
I'm not kind of point out to you. Your gateway, there's a marker that you use to save fuel, and I noticed this last time I went there. If you watch out the windshield here, there's a crossover gate right there.
Mm-hmm.
You're saving fuel. Lift at that gate, essentially. And I know that because our seats were perpendicular to that gate, and I watched Joseph Newgarden. Basically, I heard his engine go silent at that gate every lap, saving fuel. So that's where you kind of lift if you want to save gas on the front straight. Is you just lift at that crossover gate. Some guys will use the light. Some guys will use the light, but I like to use that crossover gate that's right there, photographer's gate, whatever have you. And then on the back, if you're going down the back, see it here. You go past the opening. You lift right about here. Just kind of coast.
Callisto around Hearn here on side. Well, actually not around yet. Side by side on the main stretch.
What you want to do, and Callisto's going to get him here going into. Well, maybe not. Richie Hearn fights back on the outside pretty good.
I think he set it too deep there, and those old tires are not going to like that. And then Lionel Callisto gets the position, is clear, and now Callisto up to 6th.
A little away from the back, so plus 9, 10 spots now for
nine spots for Callisto.
Oh, he's definitely not fallen off near as much. He's just 4/10 a lap quicker than Richie Hearn. He's running quicker than He's running. He is running quicker than Christopher Reagan as well. Gonna have that's going to be the battle here within about the next 3 or 4 laps. As Matt Wagner's going to get to Joe Flanagan, and then I suspect we'll make short work of Joe and be right on the tailgater. Christopher Reagan in very short order.
We'll give the voice a rest here just for a second, and I'll go ahead and take care of some business right now. If you're just joining us, this is race first coverage of the ISRA Truck Series coming to you from Gateway, where we've completed 41 of a scheduled 150 laps. You're enjoying race first coverage tonight and like to monetarily support us, please find our link to our GoFundMe campaign in the stream description. We do realize times are tough, so any donation, no matter the amount, is greatly appreciated. And also, don't forget, while you're at it, click the thumbs up and also subscribe and click the bell for future Race First iRacing broadcasts. Tomorrow night, top split action for the IndyCar Oval Series. Don't miss it, 8:15 p.m. Eastern.
You know, Gary, I think you might know somebody that's going to be in that race.
It might be the guy that I'm in the booth with.
You know, I bet you know several people that would be in that race.
Probably.
I love Kentucky. I love Kentucky and New Texas. You want to talk about a place that you're gonna see run as they were designed to be, and not what NASCAR screwed them up into.
Mm-hmm.
It's iRacing in New Texas and New Kentucky. You get that. You got one end that's nice and high banked. You got another end that's about wide as the state of Kansas, and flat, and it just so much fun.
Speaking of one oval that I've won at here, Kentucky is where I've got one of my official wins at, and I did everything but get the fastest lap of the race. I led every lap, got the pole, got the win, but did not get the Grand Slam. But speaking of the Grand Slam, David Rodriguez is on the way to it. Right now has a purple lap, started from the pole, has led every lap, and is on his way, well, it's still a little early, but is on his way to the win if he keeps it up. That is your Grand Slam, and he is just cruising right along, a leader by 3.5 seconds over Mark Cohn, who last week finished on the podium. Didn't sound too happy about it. He got edged out for the win there right at the very end, but he's back, put himself in another position for another podium finish. But we still have some pit stops to hit here, so maybe he could gain some time on pit road. We shall see. But as you mentioned, we are probably in the neighborhood of about 10 laps away or so from those first round of pit stops happening here at Gateway. And of course, that is going to open up a whole bunch of other possible dangers, because these trucks have to slow down and have to hit that pit road on the backstretch. And, well, I can tell you from an IndyCar point of view, that is a very slippery pit entry road.
Yes, it is. It's very slippery. Now, the window for the two stop is going to open here in 5 laps. The calculators are running these guys' heads. They're all pretty smart guys. The calculators and the cash registers are ringing, because if you're going to do it 2 stops, and we think it should be a 2-stopper based on fuel window of 55 to 60 laps, losing about 1.5 seconds over the course of a run. So, who's going to hit pit road first? The other thing is, David Rodriguez is the only truck on the speedway who is still in that 34-second.
Yes, he is, considerably.
His last lap. Yeah, and so he's consistently been. He's still there. Everybody else is up in the 35s, 35-1, pretty consistently. You got some of these guys toward the back, say, hey, Lewis Hayes, Sam Crow, but they're running 35.5s. They've really cooked the good years. But
let's ride with Rodriguez. Oh yeah, let's ride with it. Let's listen to how he is turning these laps faster than everybody. I think he's doing an easy in and very fast off. Kind of the, again, my NASCAR knowledge is not great, but I believe that is the Kyle Petty method of taking a corner. Easy in, hard off.
Did he pull the lever to dump the buckshot before he went in the corner or after?
That joke doesn't work on me.
Come on, you had to have heard the Dale Jr. podcast where they talked about some of the good old fashioned cheating stories, right?
And John Von Voorellis has moved up to 13th. Just noticed that momentarily. So the guy that fell back has picked up 2 spots, one over Gallows, one over Hacker. And now he's looking at his buddy Rigney next for 12th. And we're watching David Rodriguez riding with him. And we'll listen to it coming down the main straight, shifting, coming off of corner 4 in the 4th gear. Oh, he's off very early.
Oh,
He's off at the end of the pit road, basically, and then he's in it all the way on corner exit.
Pit stops have started. Sam Crow is the first to blink. He's on pit road now. Don't speed, Sam. Don't
Here he
speed.
comes. Here he comes.
Don't hit the stairs that jut out right here. You want to be careful. Don't hit those because they will tear you up. Nice and easy down here in your pit box. And you're good. Hits his marks.
Slides in. And you get a set of tires here.
Goodyear Eagles on the number 8. And we'll see. I'm going to watch Sam Crow's first couple of laps just to see what kind of pace he gets.
Okay, make sure you don't speed. Here comes Reagan. Or excuse me, here comes that is a Cone. Also Flanagan on pit road. Again, pit road off, very slippery, very slippery.
Well done from Sam Crow. He gets off of pit road, and here he comes. He's going to want to get the hammer down here to really make good use of that fresh set of tires.
He's got some traffic ahead of him that might actually hinder him a little bit. And he's already faster than those guys. He's running up on them down the front stretch. And he's going to go 3 wide, 2 wide here.
Almost too slow to hinder him. I mean, you have such a head of steam. He's going to be able to turn some fast laps. Wondering, though, when we're going to see John Ben Morales.
Okay, Rodriguez on pit road. He's down and away. And see, he comes out in front of Cone. Cone stopped a lap before. Here's Cone. There's Rodriguez. Rodriguez comfortably out in front of Cone.
Oh.
By about 3 seconds at the moment. We'll see when everyone gets up to speed. Matty Wagner, now your leader. Now he's making, there's the entry on the pit road. That's the dangerous entry. Got to get it under control. Maybe even play with your brake bias a little bit to...
Well, you do, and the other thing is, as you know, Gary, there's the pit entry doesn't exactly follow the radius of the corner either.
No.
It's a lot sharper, and that can kind of catch you out too. Where you're getting on a pit road and you're trying to get blowed up.
Reagan,
a little bit sharper of a corner and spin you out too.
Reagan and Callisto are now 1 and 2. This is racing for a position. This is for the lead, but these guys have yet to stop. Reagan at 53, Callisto at 53, Hearn at 53, Valenzuela at 53, Matty Wagner on pit road right now. There he is. He's done. Down and away.
Wonder if John Ben Morales borrowed a fuel line from Smokey Unique, because he shows no signs of stopping. He just let say, hey, Lewis Hayes, drive right on by, gave him the old salute out the window and said, see you later. But he's still out there chugging along, up to 7th place now. Still lifting very early, not shifting, and he's on the power way late, Gary. I mean,
God, like I said, is he going for the one stopper? Here's a battle for the lead right now. Callisto and Reagan. Callisto looking to the inside, going into 1. Also involved, or not involved in this battle, but interested party nevertheless with very fresh tires. That is Joe Flanagan.
Richie Hearn brings it down pit road, so he's going to bring it in from 5th place.
Reagan coming in now. So Callisto staying out for another lap.
Something else that you could be thinking about here if you're Van Morales is, if you're thinking, man, and I've pulled this too. I know that some of our friends have done it in different races, but hey, I might not have all the speed here. I'm just going to hang out the back and save gas, and maybe I catch a lucky break under, go a little bit long and trap everybody a lap down or something.
Yeah.
It's not a good card, but sometimes you play the ones you're dealt.
Well, JV now up the 5th. Here comes Callisto on the pit road. So still ahead of JV to pit is Goodman, is Rigney, is Valenzuela, and that's Callisto. Now here comes Callisto.
So Cristobal, Rigney, Goodman, and JV are the last 4 standing.
Cristobal heard virtually no engine noise from his engine when he came by us there in turn 1. So he is doing some coasting. He is going to bypass pit road one more time. Rigney just about a straightaway behind him. He is going to bypass pit road one more time. And JV, he's coming in.
Yeah, he's coming in. Okay, so Rigney and Valenzuela are the last 2. They are giving up, by my best estimate, about 2 seconds a lap right now. Do this. So you're pot committed here. If you're, my goodness, if you're Rigney and you're
Cristobal on pit road.
Cristobal. Okay, so he's pitting. Rigney's gonna go another round. You're pod committed here. You're gonna run this thing. If you're Mike Rigney, you're running this baby until it's out.
and he's saying to himself, now would be a great time for a caution flag. But again, I mean, this says a lot about these drivers that these ex-Lionheart guys, current Lionheart guys. Lionheart's just taking a sabbatical season this year. These guys all are very well. They got good racecraft, and so it's no surprise that we have not seen a caution yet. Rigney on pit road.
Here he comes. Okay, so there's 2 things that could be afoot here. We know they can't make it in one stop. And we know they're going to go to the back here. But there is a crossover in the tires, and that crossover is probably about 10 to 12 laps. Okay, so the new for on the tires for the guys that stopped at 51, 52, that's already started to fade. Dave Rodriguez came out. He was running right close to his fastest laps race. He's already dropped a second. Same with Mark Cohn. He's dropping time. Wagner, he's 7/8 off. He stopped lap 54. So Rigney is going to go a lap down, but he's going to gain a ton of time for the next 10 laps or so. Don't know if he'll unlap himself, but his tires are going to be fresher. And if he does that again, he's gonna double that advantage on the final run, where he might be half a second to a second a lap quicker than his comrades out there for the last 30 laps of the race. Something to consider.
Strategy at play here. Thanks for joining us. Make sure to smash that thumbs up and also subscribe and ring the bell. Would appreciate it. We are 63 of 150, so next round of stops, if we're looking at it for our leader, David Rodriguez, we expect him now around the lap 104, so we're still a ways from that. The first to blink, and I think you pointed him out, it might have been Sam Crow right at lap 50. Crow might be doing a 50-50-50 type of run. In that case, he's short filling every single time because he's not using the whole tank.
Right. Now, be fair, that's not as critical as it is in a stock car as it is in an Indy car.
Correct.
There's still a second or two maybe to be gained by that, maybe. But one of the things that people don't often think about when you talk about the differences in disciplines is that fueling these trucks is not, or any stock car is not precise. So in an open wheel car, in a formula car, in a sports car, you can select your fill in half gallon, quarter gallon. In some cars, you can select tenths of a gallon.
Mm-hmm.
That's not how much you want to put in it. In a NASCAR vehicle in the sim, increments are either 1.8 or 3.6 gallons. You got to think about it. The fueler in these things is up over the wall with a big old can, and stick the can in the side of the truck, and then he's going to fill it up until it comes out of the overflow. Whereas, an open wheel car, you have various methods. In Formula One, they have timer. If they're in their refueling days, they had timers on them where it would automatically stop. Right? In IndyCar racing, we use a guy on the other end of the wall with a stopwatch and a big old stick. Time-honored way to do it, Pat Patrick.
Ooh, Rodriguez showing some damage on the right side of his truck. He might have just smacked the wall. We might have just caught him as he came away from that. And here comes Rigney with a new set of tires running down the leader, who may have just smacked the wall. And he's going to try to get his lap back to get him on the tail end of the lead lap. Also very interested in this picture as well. As
I don't think that's a maybe. He got a pretty good lick on it. He came off.
No, definitely he hit it. I mean, we're looking at damage, so definitely he hit it.
He hit it pretty hard too. It's square, so don't know that that's going to hurt the steering. Aero is not a huge concern here. We'll see. Mike Rigney would be anxious to get past David Rodriguez here because put him back on the lead lap. I'm sure David Rodriguez would be just as anxious to keep him a lap down.
Pretty close battle also between Wagner and Callisto on the back straight.
I thought just for a second there that Mike Rigney was going to lay the bumper to David Rodriguez. He is all over the back of that. He is all over the back of that 10 machine.
Well, and at this point in the race, I don't know. Should you let Rigney go? Or should you should work to keep him a lap down, knowing that he's on a slightly different strategy that might have a shot?
100 times out of 100, I'm letting the 80 go.
And there he goes, right there.
Yeah, there's no benefit to racing. There's no benefit to racing a guy that's just getting back on the lead lap. For David Rodriguez, he's okay. He's by far the fastest truck here. You get almost a nearly 5-second lead. So what if Mike Rigney gets back on the lead lap? It doesn't make you any difference. You know what I mean? Even if it cycles back around, he's still going to have. Even if it cycles back around, he's still going to have to drive through 11 cars to get you. So let him go, which Rodriguez finally did. I also think David finally realized he was about ready to get the old Paul Tracy chrome horn because Rigney was all over the tailgate of that, all over the tailgate of that 10 truck for sure.
Well, if you notice also on the screen a new bit of information on the overlay, we do have the weather information. Track temperature is 81 degrees Fahrenheit, not very hot. Ambient temperature is 78 degrees. Again, not very hot, very pleasant. If you are asking about or trying to put it in a comparison about the weather in this part of the world, very pleasant, I guess. So I don't think heat's going to play much of a role, but again, a very abrasive surface, very old surface here at Gateway, and it's going to grind into those tires, and they're going to be praying for a pit stop. They're probably already praying for the next round of pit stops to be here sooner so they can get on a new set of rubber and go to the finish. They're still a ways from doing that before they can make it out with one more stop.
Point out, Gary, that this track has been resurfaced since it was scanned. So
yeah, but it also gets Midwest winters, which I'm very familiar with, and you are too.
Yeah. One of the things though that they did when they resurfaced it is they made the progressive banking in turns 1 and 2 transitions a lot more smooth. So it makes the bottom a lot more a much more viable option. Just point that out. This is the old surface. So at some point, then probably I'm guessing the next couple of years, we're going to have Legacy Gateway. Wouldn't that be fun?
Well, it'd be nice to have a new super speedway oval added to the service again, whether it be a remade version of this or I'd really like to see. I was really excited when they added a Nashville Super Speedway because the IndyCars ran there for about 8 to 10 years. But when I put an IndyCar on that track, I was like, this is horrible. The track was just simply the setups for IndyCar and the tire model and everything just did not want to talk to that track very well. And it's still a problem I think we see today. IndyCar races that we see at Nashville Super Speedway are typically on the surface pretty boring. If you get the lead at the front, then you pretty much dictate the rest of the strategy from there on out. I'd like for them to finally get around to scanning Pikes Peak. It's still out there. They can add that to the service. I'd like to see some new oval super speedway or at least 1 mile paved ovals added to the service so we can expand the IndyCar schedule and, for that matter, to some of those places.
Yeah, Pikes Peak would be amazing. That track is in IndyCar 2002 for your PlayStation 2, if you would like to check that out. It's also I gotta toot the horn of one of my guys, Rob Alvey, the guy that designs very high-end retro pies, sent me his GPI 2 build. And I was playing iRacing 2000, the Nintendo 64 earlier on a Game Boy of all things.
Oh,
Which that has Pikes Peak in it.
Yeah, that's actually one of the few. Also has Walt Disney World Speedway in it.
Yes, it is. I really wish they would have scanned Disney before it went to the wayside as well.
As I said before, and we're watching a battle right now between Matt Wagner in third and Lionel Clisto in fourth. iRacing did not do themselves any favors by opening Pandora's box on a fictional track such as the iRacing Super Speedway. That just proves that they can put together a track if they want to. And the longest reason that they didn't do any other tracks is like, well, we can't scan it. We can't possibly scan it. Well, there is no such track as the iRacing Super Speedway anywhere in this world other than in the minds of the ex-Papyrus guys. So that's exactly where they got it from.
Right. Well, to be fair, the code for that existed. Right?
But if you go off that same mentality, the code for Nazareth is out there. In that case, the code for maybe even very old legacy code, but the code out there for Ontario is out there. So you got to think about maybe some of these other tracks they could release. There was, I think, when I saw an announcement where the iRacing re-upped their contract with a NASCAR, one of the things they were going to release was other tracks throughout NASCAR history. Now, whether it's like a whole bunch of short tracks like Bowman Stadium and Flemington and stuff, places like that, maybe, I don't know. But would that also include Texas World Speedway? Would that also include Riverside? Would that also include Ontario? Mm-hmm.
I'd be down to go to Ontario. That would be an amazing thing to see in the sim. So would Texas World. If you guys, if anybody watching out there would like to see a race at Texas World Speedway, there's an old ARCA race from the early 90s, the Western Auto Challenge or something like that, where Dale Earnhardt Sr., Darrell Waltrip, and Kenny Schrader went out there and ran in an ARCA race that was held like on a Tuesday after Atlanta. And it's interesting to see. You're basically looking at a higher banked Michigan. Mm-hmm. At one point, Jeff Andretti had the closed course world speed record there.
Yeah.
Driving the Pagan Buick was the Burro Guerrero track record holder, if memory serves. Mm-hmm. David Rodriguez still just edging away.
Leader by 4.7 right now, and he's coming up on Rigney and Cristobal Valenzuela.
Now he's lost a step or two. He had been consistently, Gary, a tenth or 2/10 quicker a lap than everybody else.
Everyone, at least Cohn's right in the same neighborhood with him.
Well, Cohn was a tenth slower that lap, but Matt Wagner has been consistently faster than David
Reagan has too.
So is Callisto, for that matter. So whatever damage he did on the wall over there, I don't think it's it's not terminal, but clearly, but maybe scuffed 50,000s out of the thing, and we got another car in the wall. It's who was that? That Callisto that pancaked it? I believe it was Lionel Callisto pancaked the wall off of 4 over there just now. Same kind of a deal as he did. Same kind of a deal as David Rodriguez.
Boom.
He got back back to the gas a little. Got back to the gas a little bit early. Pushed it up. Boom.
And we're still a ways from pit stops. We are still a long ways from another 20 laps, at least for Rodriguez. Another 20 laps.
Minimum, the window opens at 100. David, I'm sure would like to get to 104. Let's talk about strategy, Gary. Do you use your fast repair if you're David Rodriguez? That damage. Do you save it?
Well, it's your last stop, anyways. You might as well.
Right. But what if? I mean, do you save it knowing, hey, you got a pretty good lead? I'm still running the same speed as everybody else around me. Nobody's going to catch me. Do I save it in case somebody spins in front of me or something like that?
I would use it.
Final Callisto is just dirt tracking it off of turn 2, Gary. I don't know if you can show that in the Wayback Machine, but he had that baby 45 degrees sideways.
Yeah, there it is.
Turn number 2. Holy mackerel. Nothing else. Lionel Callisto's giving it the beans. He's driven from shotgun on the field to 4th.
Up 11 spots. And side by side right up in front, that's Hacker, who's not had the greatest race. And
chasing it.
And he's was running there with Wagner. That's not battle for position, just side by side. Hacker might not have run this place in trucks before. And this is not an easy track. I mean, it's not even an easy track in an Indy car. I can only imagine what it's like for someone getting in a truck for the first time and trying to master the place.
The line is actually fairly similar, believe it or not. It's just mainly dictated by the radius of the track and the way it's set up. Line is really similar, kind of like we took in the dark times. We took the IR18 took it to Darlington, and it was the same line as a stock car. Again, the whole place is a lane and a half wide anyway, so you're kind of forced to do that.
That is one place. It was on the schedule, and then, of course, then the dark times went dark. That is one place that we have not broadcasted a IndyCar race at in any league or official otherwise. Is Darlington.
Didn't miss much. It was very single file, very single groove. It was very difficult to pass. The one that was frenetic and crazy was we took those things to Wilkesboro.
Why? Because we can, I know, but why?
We didn't have anything better to do that weekend.
Apparently.
Virtual carbon fiber is free. It was so fast. It was so fast that I know. I'll speak for myself. I can't speak for anyone else. I was getting dizzy because you were going around it so fast. It would make you dizzy. Bristol will kind of do the same thing. If you ever get a wild hair, take an IndyCar, take an IR01 or the W13 or whatever it is to Bristol. Sit there and cut 8-second laps around Bristol. It'll make you dizzy just because your mind can't process scenery that fast. Like what Wilkesboro was.
Once again, if you're just joining us, you're watching Race First coverage of Round 5 of the ISRA Truck Series, coming to you from Gateway, where David Rodriguez has dominated the day, still leading at lap 91 of 150. But make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on the next race. Next week we will be at Iowa in the ISRA Truck Series. And also ring the bell so you don't miss out on more of other iRacing broadcasting here on Race First. Of course, we have a ton of it. And don't forget to compensate your commentary team here by sending a donation via our GoFundMe campaign. All the links are in the description. We appreciate your time for watching. Appreciate your donations. Everything making this possible for the ISRA. 92 of 150 in the book. Probably looking at about another 10 laps or so before we see David Rodriguez on pit road. Probably another 8 laps for the first guy that blinked first last time. That's Sam Crow, who was in 7th.
I would assume that Sam Crow and Mark Cohn are going to be the first 2. I'd assume they're also going to pit right at the beginning of the window. Worked out for them the last time. Sam Crow's about ready to go a lap down also. He's about 10 seconds away from it. Does that factor into it? Probably. Like if I went a lap down and I could make it to the end, I'd probably just get new tires. We see Harry Gant do that all the time at Darlington.
Looking out the rear of the tailgate of Sam Crow, we see right behind him, that's Richie Hearn. That's 7th spot for Crow, 8th spot Hearn.
He's kind of quietly, Richie is kind of quietly faded in this one. I don't know if something happened to that 70, but he was up near the front, wasn't he? He was up, what, 3rd, 4th?
Got up there in the top 5.
Yeah. It's kind of a yeoman's effort for Richie Hearn here. Nobody around him, just making the laps. I don't see any damage on the thing.
You know what? I have not seen that car blink once at all. So that whatever internet connection he's worked on, it is vastly improved. We're watching Richie Hearn on the wide end of the racetrack in 3 and 4.
And put the dog or the cat or whatever in the other room. Can't imagine. I mean, I don't have any pets. I can't imagine a scenario where an animal could do that. Although, I guess I kind of can. We had a cat growing up, and my father would marvel at Sinia because she would chew through electrical cords, like the lamp cord. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. He would chew clean through those and never get electrocuted, and he never could understand it.
9 lives.
David Rodriguez leading from Mark Cohn and Matt Wagner, Lionel Clisto 4th, your points leader.
All right, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Gary.
I don't know what happened.
I thought maybe the T1000 finally got you.
Anyways, let's make sure we didn't. Yeah, we're up. We're not we're not cashed or anything. So we're 98 of 150. We're expecting probably the first to stop Crow and Cohn. Here's Rodriguez trying to get around. Say hey, Lewis Hayes. Lewis Hayes worked his way up to 10th.
And he's starting to get into a situation now. David Rodriguez is where he's starting to lap some faster trucks. Where these are guys that were all in that wad that qualified within 25 thousandths or whatever it was each other. Starting to get into those guys. When you do that, it gets much harder to lap them. Does that impact your calculus? As far as when you stop, we've got a truck on pit road. That's Christopher Reagan. He will blink first.
Yeah, Christopher Reagan stopped on 56 last time, so he was one of the longest runners, and this time he's one of the shortest runners. So he hits a stall. This will be his last and final stop.
Yes, sir, it should be. We'll see him pull it in. Looking for the next taker. What that might look like. Remember, new tires worth about 1.5 seconds a lap.
And here is Conan Wagner. This is now directly in contact for battle.
Oh. And kind of a quiet march for Matt Wagner. See him just pull it right to the left rear. Whew. Hi, holy goodness, scary. He got 39 loose, and we got a caution. Yellow's out.
Lewis Hayes, Cristobal Valenzuela.
Oh, let's see what we got.
So they are racing each other going down into one. Cristobal pulls out and goes into the inside.
Got $1 there that says there was contact.
Yeah, and he floated up. Just didn't quite. The car didn't or truck didn't rotate. And also involved Hugo. I think he smacked the wall just trying to slow down. And this is exactly what the field wanted to see, not what Rodriguez wanted to see.
Although I suspect that you're right, he's gonna take his fast repair. We know that slapping the wall over there took a little bit of speed out of his truck. Same with Lionel Callisto, so they'll get their deal reset, ready to go. The race is what had become over a 7-second margin for David Rodriguez. So can he take new tires and march away again? And then also the truck of Christopher Reagan. The real bad luck, Christopher Reagan and Lewis Hayes.
Yeah.
Well, not Lewis Hayes, but Christopher Reagan really
he's kind of lapped down.
He's going to get the wave around here, but still, that's.
Well, the lucky dog is going to go to. Well, it might actually go to Reagan, although everything is shaking out. As him back on the lead lap now, because he just passed the leaders.
He'd get the wave around if he doesn't get the lucky dog.
Okay.
Last time we didn't do lucky dogs, if you remember, right? So
yeah.
No, don't know if they enabled the. Don't know if they enabled the made for TV thing.
I don't remember seeing it.
No, NASCAR interests me a lot in that regard, Gary. They keep making these rule changes to make things more entertaining, drawing more fans while they tear down grandstands. I can't seem to figure it out, but it's just me.
Or redesigning racetracks for no good reason whatsoever.
Well,
or tearing down racetracks for no good reason whatsoever either.
Nazareth.
California.
Yeah. No, that's
because we need another short track.
That's sad out there too, because that's that's the fourth major track that the LA market has lost.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost Ontario, they lost Riverside, now they've lost Pro Club, and Ascot Park is gone as well. People forget Ascot Park, the famed dirt track, was there right close to Dodger Stadium for many, many years, run by J.C. Agajanian. And that place is gone too. And so, Southern California very much always an epicenter of car culture, but for whatever reason, it keeps losing racetracks.
Well, don't build a super speedway there. That's for sure.
Yeah. This is a point in history. I mean, there have only been nine speedways of 2 miles in length or longer built in the United States.
In the United States, that's right. Yeah.
2 of them have been in Southern California, and both of them are gone.
Yep.
One's a shopping mall, and one's about to become an Amazon warehouse. Christopher Reagan did get the lucky dog, and he has lucky dogged himself right into the pit lane. Even though he only had a couple of laps on those tires.
Yeah, he's. Hopefully I'm not too far behind you or something. I still show myself live.
I was looking at the wrong thing. So
okay, I'm about to say he hadn't passed the pace car at that point. Now he has, and he's getting the wave around. So we'll go back and check out the status of what's going on behind the pace car. So Rodriguez now is back behind the pace car. We are lining up 2 by 2. Matt Wagner finally is getting a shot of the front for first time since the restart or from the start of this race. He's lining up to the outside of Rodriguez. Callisto is there. He is third. He is lined up behind our leader. Flanagan started on the front row. He is behind Wagner, starting on the outside row.
Equal tires now.
Yeah, equal tires for everybody. Crow and Hearn back there in 3. Goodman and Rigney back in row 4. So Mark Cohn, something happened to him. He is no longer showing.
He went down to 8th. May had some kind of trouble on pit road. We're going to go green here. They're coming up on the restart box. That's the Geico logos, and David Rodriguez gets an amazing.
Yeah, I think you got another great restart. Mark Cohn, I think, had a drop.
I don't think I'd be in remiss there saying that Rodriguez may have gone, and Callisto's trying to go by Matt Wagner for second, but that outside lane in turn 1 and 2, if you can keep a guy pinned to the bottom like Matt Wagner did right there.
Wagner coming to pit road.
It's a story here. Cone disconnected. Matty Wagner coming to pit road. Did he speed? Matt Wagner has a black flag. I don't know what that could have been for, but he is answering a black flag come to pit lane. He's speed coming off a pit road. Wonder.
Exited pit lane, had an incident off track. I don't know.
He's got the virtual. He's got the virtual official in front of that truck.
So we're gonna have to find out. So now this really changes the situation. Is now Callisto is looking now to capitalize on increasing his point lead in the championship.
Did he get hit with the old?
Did he get a penalty for some reason because Cone dropped out or something?
No. I'm looking.
And here is the current point situation coming into today. As Callisto is 147 to 138 over Wagner, and 147 to 130 over Crow. Crow actually might move up to second in the points now, and Callisto will probably extend his lead over both of those guys if he can continue to keep this pace up and finish where he is right now on the racetrack.
Keep going, Gary. I'm gonna figure this out here. 647. So there are two possibilities. First is that he may have sped in the final segments coming off of pit road. He got it up. The speed limit's 45. He got it up to 48 before he broke back down. And then the second is that the second possibility is that under caution, the 39 truck that's going to be Mark Cone was coming into pit lane, and there's a quirk of this track where you have to be very cognizant of the guy that's on pit lane.
Yeah.
That you don't pass him. Matty got in front of him before Cone got to the cones that are the entrance to the pit road. So he's either got it for passing under yellow or he got it for speeding. I happen to think he's probably got it for speeding, because if he passed under yellow, it would just be a drive-through. They wouldn't necessarily hold you. Speeding is always a hold. So I think he probably got it for speeding.
I imagine he is not very happy right now. So here is the battle for the lead. We're watching it right here. These two. Rodriguez, who's dominated today. Callisto is in P3. And look who has worked his way up to, Callisto P2. And look who has worked his way up to P3.
He has got a boatload of trouble coming behind him.
Oh, yes, he does.
But holding fast in third place. Richie Hearn. How about that?
He has the whole field behind him. That is Flanagan for position. That is Crow for the position. That is Goodman for position. And a little bit further on back, there's Lewis Hayes and JV. Behind Say Hey Lewis Hayes and JV, then is Christopher Wagon. That is also involved in this battle for, which would be for third. But Flanagan trying to run him down, using a higher lane there to get a better run off the corner exit there down the backstretch.
Now, there are Hayes and JV not involved in this.
No.
I think I counted 9 trucks.
But they're in a battle for themselves for 9th spot.
Yes. I think I counted 9 trucks that are lined up behind Richie Hearn there. Not necessarily right on each other's bumpers, but they all
well, it just
right
all
there.
it will take is just one little mistake, smack the wall on corner exit, something, and that will group that field up. Watching Callisto trying to reel in Rodriguez, I don't think he's doing any good trying to run him down. He is pulling ahead of Hearn, though. He's got himself a 1.7 second lead to Hearn, but he's getting and Callisto into the wall on corner exit of 4. And I was like, he wasn't doing any favors because now he's a second behind Rodriguez.
I was just about to say Callisto was like 3,000. He was a couple of hundreds quicker lap before, and then he gets out of shape and smacks the fence and loses a 10th, and there you go. We got Sam Crow and
Goodman.
We got Goodman going after each other. Goodman goes down the inside of Crow, and that's gonna make 5th place change hands. So Goodman now going to pull in front of Sam Crow and set his sights on Joe Flanagan, who remains just about half a second behind Richie Hearn.
Crow trying down low. And going to pull probably almost up to the tailgate, but not going to be able to get that position back. He's not this lap.
Now we'll see if he sends it down into turn 1 that hard next time. You can't keep doing that. You will absolutely marshmallow your tires. Do not want them to look like or be the same temperature as the Michelin Man here. That's not good. They do not grip. Want to hear more stories about the Michelin Man? Go find the Kenny Roberts interview with Dave Despain on an old episode of Wind Tunnel. Anyway.
And the Arizona T truck. Actually, Callisto is dug back into him a little bit now, under a second.
Yeah. They're trading, right? 280 to a 252 that time, so Callisto slightly faster. He can pick up, he can pick up half a 10th here and there, but just not. Doesn't seem like it's anything sustainable.
Rodriguez with the purple lap set very, very early in this race when he was kind of running away from the group, a 135.5. Besides himself, only Flanagan in the 135 bracket. Flanagan turned a lap of 135.3. I figured someone with the slider tanks and new tires in this stint might get a better lap, but I think the possibilities of that is running out as the good of the tires are running out. 30 laps to go.
Yeah, and now you're getting into dangerous territory for David Rodriguez. What happens if there's a caution? Do you pit? Do you not pit? You're kind of a set and duck either way. You're leading the race, fastest truck.
Well, he should have another set of tires in the pits. Just about everybody should have another set of tires in the pits.
Oh, right, but monkey see, monkey don't.
Yeah, I would. It depends on how many laps are left. 30 laps are left. Like we were to get a caution right now, absolutely, I would pit. I would throw those last set of tires on. If we're talking 10 to go, he'd be a sitting duck if he stays out. Somebody would stay out to try for track position, but we've seen how fast you are with new set of tires here.
Yeah, I mean, what I meant was, okay, monkey see, monkey don't. 10 laps to go, everybody pits. You say, okay, well, I got to come get me some tires. Well, nobody else will. Or if you stay out, everybody's going to come. interesting conundrum to be the leader late in a race with tires, for sure. Meanwhile, everything is kind of stabilized out here. You still got that long conga line behind Richie Hearn, but they're not really closing in or gaining or losing anything.
They seem to be kind of evenly spaced out by anywhere from 0.7 to a second in each one of the spots there.
Oh. That last one was a good one for Callisto. He gained a full 10th on Rodriguez. F72 go 469. He is picking up a little bit, ever so slightly edging closer.
And using a very high line in 3 and 4 to keep that momentum up.
Well, you know, I would say he's offsetting for dirty air, and some of that may be a reflex. You know, but the truck tightens up a little bit through a run. Maybe he feels like you can get some more grip up there with the dynamic oval model, of course. But these lines do change. They rubber in. They'll get slick, and the grip levels change. And so, you know, maybe Lionel's found something up there. We haven't seen anybody quite that high yet, at least on purpose. You know, he's hunting around. He's hunting around.
Looking for the ever always looked for and always talked about, but rarely ever seen the grip strip.
He's hunting it for sure. He's run a different line. He's run a different line now. Pretty much every corner for the last 5 laps. He's hunting something. May or may not find it, but he's going to hunt it for sure.
Back to the bottom this time on 3 and 4.
Oh. Now, what that can do, if you take that high line like that through 3 and 4, what that can do here is it can get you almost a slingshot coming down the front straight, almost like you're running a cushion on a dirt track. You can gain a couple of miles an hour at the end of the straightaway. Doesn't really negate the extra distance you have to go to get it. But, you know, again, he's hunting anything. Now he's all the way down the bottom in 1 and 2. He hasn't run that low for.
He was down there. Yeah, he was down there last time. Almost got into the wall. He was down there last lap, so we're watching him right now. Take a look at Hearn. Hearn's actually starting to put a little bit of distance between himself and Flanagan, about 0.5 now.
Oh. Those trucks are all about 0.5 apart. I mean, it's Hearn on back to Ollie. From Hearn on back to Sam Crow, and you've got a couple of lappers in there too. They're just all half a second apart, pretty much.
Here's a battle for position right now between Rigney and Wagner. Wagner probably driving a little red right now.
Little?
I'm just guessing.
Is that like, you know, when your kid complains and you offer him the world's smallest violin?
Playing My Heart Bleeds for You, yeah.
I'd say he's a whole lot mad. Yeah. And I don't blame him. Especially if it was the passing under yellow thing, which is kind of a glitch.
Callisto now back 1.5 seconds to Rodriguez, coming to 20 to go here very shortly. Very long race tonight, despite all the green flag running. So just thanks for sticking it out with us. Getting into the twilight hours here of the race at Gateway. Next week is Iowa. Then we go to Dover, and then we wrap up this inaugural season of the ISRA Truck Series, which I would say has been pretty successful overall. We will wrap up at Homestead, and we'll see if Rigney's going to do another season.
I mean, I'm going to miss Iowa.
Sounds like it.
Oh, man. It almost feels like we're in that point of the run now, Gary, where it's just gonna kind of stay the way it is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, unless something happens, I don't think we're going to see much change on the racetrack. unless someone smacks the wall, makes a mistake. Now, this battle between Goodman and Goodman got around Flanagan. So Goodman did make up a spot, and he is starting to run down Hearn and put some pressure on him. This might be where we see one of the final changes of position. So you see right now Hearn running center of the racetrack, kind of throwing a little bit of a fade on Goodman there. Now running very high, Goodman running lower, chewing up a ton of space. Now he's going to be right on the tailgate coming down the front stretch.
It was a good corner for Michael Goodman, and the draft does work here a little bit in these things. Believe it or not. Much more pronounced in an open wheel car, but it does work in a truck.
Diamond's
Richie
the corner
Hearn,
off a
high
little bit.
there.
Yep. We saw Goodman diamond the corner off a little bit. Hearns went up high, side by side down the backstretch, past the wall opening. Going to send it into 3. Hearn stays high. Goodman underneath. And he's going to get a position, and Flanagan's going to try to follow him through, and Richie needs to really slam that door shut now, and I think he just did that right about the corner exit off of 4. He kind of came down a little bit and caused Flanagan probably to check up or at least think twice about following through. So Flanagan is now going to try to reset and try to get Hearn, but move Goodman to the bottom step of the podium as now he tries to pull away from Richie Hearn.
All tall order to get to the front, too. He's 5.9 seconds behind David Rodriguez and about 4.6 behind 0.6.
Yeah, 4.7. Ooh, I think someone hit the smack the wall coming off of corner 4. Might have been Flanagan.
Possibly could have been Netco, too. I don't see any damage on my screen.
Just saw a puff of smoke. There's another puff of smoke.
I think it's coming from Richie, actually. And he's not hitting the wall, so it's like a little bit of a net code. It's net coding.
As long as he's not getting damage. Here we go, Richie down to the rumble strips to help that help that truck rotate, adding 5 cents to the jar.
You're going to be able to pay for my trip to Florida next week.
Not quite. We're getting there, though. Not quite, though. Thanks for everybody for joining us in chat. Chat's been pretty quiet after a while. I think everyone's just kind of watching the action. But thanks for everybody watching. Make sure to smack that thumbs up button. Really would appreciate it.
Absolutely.
The bell. Pulling away. Oh, I think Flanagan might have a little something left for Richie. We'll see.
And you can, in a truck, you can kind of do some things you can't do in an open wheel car, tire-wise. So you can back off Richie.
Now Richie's starting to flash. And then not in the way that people thinking. And we're blinking on screen.
Yeah, he's definitely having some.
Now's not the time to have that. That'll just be awful to go 3/4 or more through a race only to drop out at the last moment. That'll just be awful.
Yeah, it's coming back now, but he went up.
Flanagan.
His ping went up to 4,000, and his quality got down in the 50s there. Now it's coming back. So maybe he got the cat away from the cord this time in time. But he's coming back, so good news. We can breathe a sigh of relief for Richie. He's connections back to full song. I think Flanagan might have just backed off to kind of cool this stuff down.
Yeah. So did you see who was in the showed up for the Indy Open race today?
I did not. So
Agustin Canapino.
Is that right?
Yes.
How'd that go?
Last one I left, he was leading. But Phil Kraus was giving him a run for the money. Of course, Phil Kraus is one of the runners here of the Lionheart IndyCar Series.
Yeah, Phil give anybody a run for their money for sure. I have to go back and watch that.
Yeah.
I thought about running.
I wonder if Adam was giving them a come on, man, come on, you got time, join us tonight. You know, of course, Adam works for that team now, so.
And I mean, and that's something.
Battle back here between Crow and Reagan. I think Crow got into the wall a little bit. Reagan's going to go on the outside, getting the position. Crow's going to still stick it in there deep, but he's going to float up the racetrack a little bit. Meanwhile, Reagan puts his foot in it and gets the lead, gets the position. Move Reagan up to 6th, Crow down the 7th.
And that's something, that with testing bans and so forth, we saw William Byron run a ton. We saw William Byron run a ton last week in the Cup stuff. I am frankly fairly surprised that we don't see more IndyCar guys, especially in the open.
Well,
stuff,
isn't that how
because
Byron was discovered? He was discovered by Sim Racing, wasn't he? Yeah, that's what I thought.
He was, to an extent.
10 to go.
To an extent, several guys have been. Josh Berry, even go back to the NASCAR 2000 days, Mark Truex.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of those guys have been pulled out of the sim world, even when it was a little bit more video gamey, so to speak. I think William Byron might be the first one purely as a sim racer. I don't think he had ever. Whoa! Big kiss of the wall for Joe Flanagan.
We were watching that when we were watching the leaders there, but Flanagan scuffed up on the whole right side of his truck. He's going to get a run. He's going to get a run on the inside of Hearn. This is going to open the door for Reagan.
But what I was saying was, I think Byron was the first one who was just exclusively sim guy. I don't think he'd raced anything in life before they pulled him out of the sim. Some of those other guys, Josh Berry, great sim racer, and I've run against him, and that guy is fast. But Josh also was a fairly good late model driver too. You know what I mean? Same with Truex and modifieds. Whereas, William.
Watching this battle, sorry. We got Reagan on the top side of Flanagan for the position. I don't think Flanagan can hold up at least where he was positioned on the racetrack. If he doesn't look out, here comes Sam Crow. Those are valuable points that Crow needs for this championship. And Crow is the last truck on the lead lap. Reagan now gets around Hearn. So Reagan 2 spots and just that like that, and he is now up to 4th. He's probably going to run out of time to catch 3rd spot unless we have a green-white checker or something like that. Jinx. But David Rodriguez. David Reagan is the a real racer, but David Rodriguez dominating today is the leader. 7 laps to go now, 6 laps to go as he extends his lead now to 2 seconds over Lionel Callisto, our points leader, who's looking to put some more space between himself and the rest of his key rivals, with the exception of Rodriguez. Rodriguez will probably make up some space on him in the and then I think Callisto might have gotten to the wall off of 2 a little bit.
Did indeed. Joe Flanagan is going to wear himself out trying to get by Richie Hearn. He's been trying to do that for about the last 15 laps. He can't make it work. Richie stays on the outside of him coming off of 2. Flanagan's going to nail it to the bottom. He can't quite clear him. As long as he's going to finally, I think he's going to clear him coming off of 4.
Yeah, okay. Richie's still blinking a little bit, which I'm sure doesn't help. But move Flanagan to 5th. Hearn back to 6th. Hearn still had a great race. He started 12th. He's up 6 spots. He is not the biggest gainer. That right now belongs to this man, Lionel Callisto. He is up 13.
And what I was going to say, though, the outside here off in 1 and 2 is extremely powerful. Again, if you can keep that guy pinched down there. And poor old Joe Flanagan, he'd been trying to go under Richie Hearn for the better part of the last 15 minutes. And he finally made it work and gets by him. And now Sam Crow is this next man up to go after the former Indy and Champ Car ace.
Rodriguez now 4 to go. Down the backstretch, actually now 3.5 to go, more than like that. Coming down to 3 and 4, about a half lane off the bottom. Now he's touching the rumble strips. Exiting off of 4. Down the front straight. 3 to go.
It's going to have a go at It's going to have a go at the 70 here going into 3. Drives it right to the bottom. Richie Hearn keeps it up high. and mark another spot for Sam Crow, but Richie Hearn back to 7.
Yeah, Richie's tires are pretty well spent at this point. Everyone is, he's on 45 lap old tires.
Well, he's going to throw it in there.
He's going to throw it in there. I don't think Crow was expecting that.
No, I think he thought,
Crow with the crossover.
Let them get loose coming off of 2. No disrespect to the leaders, by the way. David Rodriguez walking off from Lionel Callisto toward the win. But this is by far the best battle on the racetrack now. Crow's going to get right to the left rear. Quite enough.
And coming down to 3 and 4 again for Rodriguez. Getting down to the rumble strips right there. On corner apex, off a corner exit, staring at the white flag. White flag in the air, 1 to go. 1.7 second lead over Callisto for the win. And through 1 and 2, lane and a half off the bottom. Kind of corner exit very, very cleanly, kind of off the wall. Callisto's dirt tracking it, trying to make up as much time as possible. Down the backstretch into 3 and 4 for the final time, right down to the bottom. And he will come off of corner number 4, staring at the checkered flag. A well-deserved win in the books. A dominant win in the books for David Rodriguez here in the ISRA Truck Series.
Says Lionel Callisto is going to come home second. Michael Goodman will finish third, assuming he's able to get through 3 and 4 all right. He's going to come down underneath the flag. Richie Hearn comes home 6th from Joe Flanagan in 5th. He does hold off Sam Crow. Say hey, Lewis Hayes, 8th, lap down. And 9th, let's see here. 9th, Ron Hacker. John Van Verales, 10th. Mike Rigney, 11th. Matt Wagner, after whatever penalty befell him, is going to come home 12th. Cristobal Valenzuela, the last of the runners, at 13th. Hugo Gallows, Mark Cohn do not finish 14th and 15th. Drew White did not take the start to finish 16th.
Hey, you see, Rodriguez, Callisto, Goodman, your podium. Reagan, Flanagan, your top 5. Hearn, Crow, Hayes, Hacker, JV, your top 10. Rigney, Wagner, Valenzuela, Gallows, Cohn, top 15. And Drew White, for some reason, did not take the green flag. That's okay. He's classified as 16th. We'll get some points.
Be interested to ask David Rodriguez what he was doing that was what he thought he was doing that was a little bit different than everybody else, because he had a 10th in the bag for most of the evening here.
And let's bring him on up here. I'm sure he's ready to chat, but let's see if Michael Goodman is available. And we'll wait just a second, see if he becomes available. If not, we'll bring up Callisto next. And then we'll talk with David to wrap her up here. Okay, we'll go ahead and bring up Lionel first here. And if Michael Goodman shows up, we will bring him in next. So bringing up Lionel Callisto. Hey, Lionel, we got you here in the booth. We don't see Michael yet, so we're going to go right to you for P2. Great day, up 13 spots. This truck seems to suit your driving style pretty well. Tell us about your race.
In the beginning, just took it easy, try to save tires a little bit. But I didn't downshift in the first corner for a second. Then I realized you're coming out of the corner a lot faster, and try to make my way up the field. But there's a point where yellow came out. It kind of changes that strategy, and then I just couldn't. I could try to keep up with David, but I was just overdriving the car in the end. I just overdriving the car.
Yeah, so Lionel, heck of a run to second place from the back. You set the fastest lap in practice, though. So my question has to be, why the start in the back? Did you have a problem in qualifying, or just miss it, or? I'm just curious.
I like to start in the back, honestly, because the strategy you can flex your strategy. You can change it up anytime. You can just every caution in the beginning. You can just take fuel anytime or tires. But this this, you can't really take tires that much because you only have like 2 sets. But usually I try to top off if there's like early cautions, and then the whole strategy changes after that.
Gotcha. Well, amazing drive from the back to second. One more spot, you'd have been good. Lionel Callisto second today. Any shout outs? Anybody you'd like to say hello to? Sponsors, friends, family, casters?
Casters, everybody, all my friends, everybody that's out here racing. Yeah, man, it was fun. Fun night.
All right, well, congratulations. This should look pretty well in the points championship. I don't know if they have been updated as of yet. Let me take a look real quick and see. Nope. Come on, let's do this one. Truck results. Yeah, actually, I think they have. You have 185 points now over Matt Wagner, who is at 166. And Sam Crow at 162. So you are the points leader going in these last 3 races of the season. The schedule's been changed up a little bit. So we're going to a short track next in Dover and Homestead. Hope you get your practice in. But right now, sitting in the catbird's feet for the inaugural championship. So we look forward to seeing you next week. Congratulations on your run today, and go get some rest.
Sounds good. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Yeah. All right, let's bring up David Rodriguez. Well, we don't say dominate very often, but man, this race was yours from the absolute get-go. You were by far the fastest truck for qualification by a 10th. Each time we did a restart, you just took off from everybody. You had the purple lap. You won the race. You did everything but win the Grand Slam, which means you had to lead every single lap, but that would have been tough to do with the way the pit stops ran. But man, dominant performance. I think maybe one time you maybe kissed the wall, and that might have been the roughest part of your day. Tell us about your race.
Yeah, I actually kissed the wall twice.
Okay.
And got bumped into by Rigney a couple of times, but that was really fun. But yeah, I mean, my race started off really well, qualified P1, and from like the moment I took off, I was just set on taking care of my tires and easing it into the corners and really just not overdoing or not overheating the tires too much. So yeah, from lap 1, just backing up the corners and really trying to get easy on the throttles as to not try to wheel spin as well.
Go ahead, Murph.
Man, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that I have to add other than, did you take your fast repair after you kind of got in a wall over there a little bit, or did you save it? Gary and I were debating that.
I saved it over after the first pit stop, but I honestly didn't even check it after the second one. I had no idea if I kept it or not after the second pit stop.
Gotcha. We were just interested in that. The other question I have is, do you offer lessons?
No. So I have to thank for this race is Mark, because in the 2 minutes into the practice session, I saw that he had like the fastest lap, and I was like, "Oh, how are you doing that?" And he's like, "Oh, well, I saw, this video or whatever. Oh, do you think you can tell me your secrets?" And he did. He was kind of hesitant about it, and he let me know like what kind of line to run, and I kind of ended up perfecting that line pretty quickly. Like the track kind of disagreed with me today, so if anyone you should ask the coach. It should be Mark, because I owe this race to him basically. I don't think he's going to help me again though in the future though.
Well, I think he had a dropout for his ping or something. So
he had a penalty in pit road for passing under yellow. And so his race was done after that.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I mean, you had the dominant victory. It was all yours all day long, all night long. I'm sure you got some shout outs. You've been long overdue for these interviews anyway. So I know you got some people you want to thank. So go right ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank our team, Mad Works, all those guys. They don't race with us in this series, but they're some great group of people. I want to thank Rigney for putting on such a fun series with these group of guys. It's always a fun time coming out here, even though it's hard for me to find the time to come race these days. But yeah. And you guys for putting on such a great broadcast.
Well, we try. Thank you very much. But congratulations on the dominant win. I mean, you made it. We had to talk about other things during this race that you made it so dominant. So way to make it a boring race.
Yes,
but I guess from a driver's point of view, I guess that's what you really want is you won this thing going away. So congratulations. 3 races ago, we got Iowa coming up next, then Dover, and then Homestead. Hope to see you at one, if not all 3 of those to wrap up the season. But a dominant win. You should go celebrate and give yourself a huge pat on the back and a couple of cold Cokes as reward for that one.
All right. Thank you, guys.
You got it. All right. Well, like I said, we had to actually talk about other things because he really made this race, and to his credit, he made the lead for this race boring to watch because there was not a single person that really had anything for him all day long.
No, and Gary, it's sometimes you have to stop and appreciate the excellence.
Yes.
And that was David Rodriguez tonight. He had everybody covered. The drop of the green flag up to the end. Lionel Callisto gave it a good show in a lot of ways. Was driving maybe too hard, trying to catch David Rodriguez at the end. But at times you need to just stand up and tip your cap and applaud.
Yeah.
And that's what we do tonight for David because he was clearly the class of the field. There were good battles throughout, and there was some different strategy involved. But the storyline tonight is David Rodriguez dominates Gateway.
Yeah, I think there's 2 stories tonight. I think David Rodriguez dominates, but Lionel Callisto very quietly is looking at getting up to the precipice of a series championship here. And when you're going against a lot of not really ex-former, but current Lionheart guys that just because Lionheart's not running this year, they're using this kind of series as a place to come have fun with. When you can put up a championship up against that caliber driver, that's something that gets people to sit up and notice. So Lionel Callisto is really looking very closely to do that. But there's 2 gotcha races coming up, I think, in these next 2 races with anything can happen at these short tracks, whether it be Iowa or Dover. So these next 2 races are going to be gotcha races for these guys. Still some time for these standings to shake up a little bit. But if he could somehow make it through those 2 races and still be the points leader and get to Homestead, that's going to be a pretty exciting race to watch. And hopefully we see a good battle to then. So that's it for tonight. Once again, your podium for Gateway is David Rodriguez dominates, and Lionel Callisto P2. Michael Goodman, who never didn't show up for the interview, but had a great run up to P3. He moved up himself 2 spots. He was kind of up at the front all day long, so congrats to him. Join Raceverse again next week for round 7 of the ISRA Truck Series as the teams and drivers move to Iowa Speedway. Actually, it's round 6. We're going to Iowa. So coverage begins around 9:35 p.m. Eastern time. Again, 9:35 p.m. Eastern. It's we're at a new time because we pushed it back a little bit for some of these guys on the West Coast. So make sure that if you need to know what time it is, to check YouTube.com/Raceverse for the correct time in your area. Now, as you know, the YouTube algorithm game is not easy, so please help support Raceverse with the weekly grind. Leave a comment below. Let us know what you thought of tonight's race. Let us know what you thought of Dave's dominance here. And if you enjoyed his domination and enjoyed our coverage, support us by smashing like in the video. If you're new, click subscribe, and while you're at it, hit the bell for weekly reminders so you don't miss out more Raceverse other iRacing program, including tomorrow night, Top Split 815 IndyCar Oval Series. You don't want to miss it. Keep your browser set here for the most in-depth IndyCar knowledge on all of iRacing. Raceverse, we know what Indy means. For visits and inquiries, learn more about Raceverse and what we do, visit raceverse.com. Like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter. So, for Murph, everyone at Raceverse, I'm Gary Gotcha saying all good night and thanks for watching. And to all of our men and women serving in the military and as first responders, Godspeed, God bless, and come home safe. Catch us again next week in Iowa for the next race of the ISRA Truck Series. Good night.